Advertising is a very interesting thing. I believe that word of mouth is the most powerful advertising method out there. So by serving my clients well, they do that for me, and they got neighbors. So while I'm at their place, I will drop flyers to the neighbors. I'll speak to the property owner where I'm working at and say, listen here, if one of these guys around you take offense from me, I'll give you a $50 Prezi card. And they advertise me then.
So Michael, thank you for joining us today. And you're from Jim's Fencing Christchurch, and you've had a flying start in business with your franchise, because Jim says a 30-day email to all new starters, and when you applied, you gave him some figures there, and I think he was quite blown away, and he's like, basically, Joel interviewed this man straight away about what he's doing and your philosophy of business. So let's just first of all start off with about maybe how you came into Jim's in the first place, and how have you been going so far with your business?
Okay, yeah. So I came across just searching for, out of interest, businesses for sale. We own another company and we just tried to diversify ourselves, and came across Jim's and been very interested due to my background in civil construction and carpentry. I had a look at it and phoned the previous owner up, met up with him, and I saw the potential in the business. By implementing a few things that I know in business, I could make it a booming business, and that's exactly what I did, basically.
Yeah, so do not talk about some of those things that you did, because you hit an amazing revenue figure in your first month, which is really unusual. I'm not saying it's a great example of what is possible when you really do what you've done, but imagine to talk to people about what you did maybe day one in the first month to achieve that really good revenue figure.
Well, I went for the training in Australia. It was mind-blowing what you can do, and you hear all the success stories of the other guys. So I think the best way of going about it is copying what they do, because they're successful already. And they put all the training in front of us. They gave us all the tools, literally, to make a success. And I thought I'll just put one foot in front of the other, do it in faith, put myself out there from day one, and that's exactly what I did. So I've implemented on Fridays, every Friday, to go and see somebody that can add value to my business, and I call it the donut date. So I'll buy some donuts, business cards, and I go and see them and introduce myself, have a nice conversation with them, and just make them aware of me, and just throw yourself out there. It's uncomfortable sometimes, but it worked, 100% worked. So that's one of the things that I did. The other thing is I've just ran my own advertising as well. So I ran it as a business. I didn't buy a job. If you got a business, you need to look after your workflow constant and make sure that you get that revenue that you are aiming for. It's that, and just praying every day and do it in faith.
And let's talk about that thing you just mentioned about going into the donut day. I reckon that's a great little concept. Do you want to so how do you decide on the people to go to visit? Who are you visiting? Is it body corps, or who are you actually deciding on to visit on those days? And how do you start the conversation? Because you said it can be quite awkward. It's not an easy thing, and I think that's what puts a lot of franchisees off doing it. What are some opening lines that you use, and what are the people who you decide that add value to your business and you go in there?
Well, what I do is, I know that a freebie is gold. Everybody likes something free. So I made some nice Jim's flasks, a coffee flask. That's just a point of connection. So everybody see the flasks and like, oh, this is nice. Wow. And that's just connection, starting point of conversation. Then I introduce myself. Hey, listen, yeah, I'm Michael from Jim's Fencing. We could do maintenance on fencing, the whole list of whatever we do. How can we serve you? How can I make your life easier? What can I do for you to make your property management better? So you look way better. I'm benefiting out of it as well. So serve the client. That's the main thing. And then what I did as well, in my area, I drive around and I see these construction sites, and everywhere you see there's new fences. I mean, it's not a secret to do fencing, but what makes me better than other guys? So I will stop on a construction site. I'll walk straight up to the foreman, ask around, where's the foreman, speak to the foreman. If I can get to somebody at a higher level than the foreman, and just follow the hierarchy system and get to the guy that you need to. Give them a freebie, have a chat with them, and follow up. So I follow up every third week with a guy that I've seen 3 weeks ago, and just be like, hey, just touching base. Is there anything I can help you with this week? We've got I can fit you in, so you make them feel important. I can fit you into my business. Yeah, and just put it out there,
I love it. It's great. It's awesome advice. It's so proactive in what you do as well. Let's talk about your advertising. So you mentioned you do your own advertising on top of what gets done for you as well. So do you want to talk about what you're doing from your perspective into advertising and how you're doing that?
Well, advertising is a very interesting thing. I believe that word of mouth is the most powerful advertising method out there. So by serving my clients well, they do that for me. And they got neighbors. So while I'm at their place, I will drop flyers to the neighbors. I'll speak to the property owner where I'm working at and the client and say, listen, if one of these guys around you take a fence from me, I'll give you a $50 Prezi card. And they advertise me then because everybody wants the freebie again. Yeah, you just got to throw yourself out there. Another thing that I did, I've worked on a very busy intersection and I noticed a golden opportunity. I built a fence out of proportion and started to rot at the bottom. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute, I can do something with this. So I addressed the client and said, hey, listen, would you like to have a free fence in the front of your section? But I want to put the little billboard on there and made an agreement with them. I'll do the fence completely free, but my billboard stays in that fence as long as you stay in the house. And they were all keen for it. They're like, oh, yes, yeah, do this, do that. It's going to make it nice. And I got the nice little mailbox in there and put a big sign that I love, Jim's Fencing. And everybody that drives past there, at a traffic light, they get hauled up in traffic and I get advertising for free.
It's amazing. It's
just opportunities. You need to be able to see opportunities.
But you've also got to take them, and you're taking them, and that's the thing. Like, you're so proactive, and that's why it's great to speak to you about this stuff, because the stuff that is spoken about in training, if we think that everyone goes and does it, but they don't, and to hear someone like yourself, plus doing extra initiatives is so good. And let's just talk about revenue and obviously scaling your business, because you've obviously got a really big revenue figure already. How many people are you employing, and maybe how do you manage your team as well?
Well, I'm lucky. It's just me and one young fella, but I'm lucky that we do have another company and I can pull labor from that company that's not too busy. So I do that as well. So in the busier times, I just move labor around. But we are scaling 100%. We've just put another trailer on the road yesterday so that we can just hit the market hard and serve the clients well. It's all about the service, as you know it. I can't put a name on something that's not workable and functionable and successful. If your name is on that, you need to push through and scale it out. If you bought it as a business, that's exactly what you would do. If you bought it as a job, you would not do that. You would wait on your leads to come through and just serve them. And that's narrow-minded.
No, I love that attitude. And I was going to say as well, how do you then converting so many jobs? Because you obviously convert really, really well. Is it just that you take your time with the client, or is it the extra work that you've done prior with going in and saying g'day? Or how do you convert so many jobs?
Listen to my client. So the client tells you exactly what they want. That's why you're there, to give them a quotation. If you're not going to listen to the client, then you're not going to convert. So if you focus on that, see their needs and serve them well, and then you can upsell after that. But yeah, it's the main thing. Smell good, don't stink. That's the common things. Go out of your way to be friendly with them and make them feel important. That everything for that 5 minutes that you spend with them evolves around them. Don't try to tell them, I'm going to use 125 by 75 by H3 timber. They don't even know what it is. So you can put that in your quotation, obviously, to tell them what it is. But if you're just going to talk over them and overpower them, it's not working. So you need to be humble, settle down, listen, and just listen to what they say and do whatever they ask you to do.
Types of jobs that you've been finding yourself doing more of at the moment? Is there a particular style of fencing, or what type of jobs?
I would say for Christchurch in the new developments, it sounds like a post and rail is getting very popular these days. And it's a quick turnover for us as well. It looks good, and the standard picket fence is the main thing. Yeah. See, 90% of it is rentals and stuff that we serve. So we cater for that market. And then you do get your upscale PVC fencing. So we do the whole lot. So you just offer the client and say, listen, we can do everything. What do you have in mind? What are you thinking of? And then they will tell you, and just price accordingly. And then I will tell them, okay, listen, I just had a client that came back to me and say, listen, I love what you said, but it's outside of my budget. But I love that look. Is there any other way that we can make that same look work, but at a lower cost price? Then I'm like, okay, sweet. This is alternative. So this is what I can get it done for, and this is what I would have done if it were my place. So I always give them that option. If you give them the options, they can pick one.
Yeah, really, really good bit of advice. And I was going to say as well, time management, because you mentioned you have another business. How do you manage your time? You're out in the tools, you're doing quoting as well. So is there any systems you use or software, or how do you do it?
Yeah, so I've got systems in place. I've got 2 big whiteboards in my garage where I work from,
Yeah.
and my laptop. And obviously, I used in the past. I did use Stratify.
Yep.
But what I do currently, it's very simple. The more simple the system is, the better it works for me. That's my personality.
Mm-hmm.
So if I get a client, I'll put the client's details in my calendar. I will start the date that I'm going to go and see the client, visit the client. I'll send him the quote. As soon as I get feedback on the quote, I'll put it up on my whiteboard, and there I know if it's ordered, the date that it's going to start, all those little things that I've put in there. I do get up 5 o'clock in the morning some mornings. I do work late some nights, but I can manage my time around my family. I will go to the computer after 7 when the little ones are in bed. Then I can do a little bit of work, and in the mornings I get up earlier to go and buy concrete on the trailer and get it on site. It is a juggle, but if you set certain things, implement a routine. If you set the routine for yourself, then it just becomes way easier to follow a routine. And once you're in that routine, the flow just automatically, you can say, I can change this a little bit. That works better for me, and just make it suit yourself.
And where does your philosophy come from? Because you're so proactive. Because the reason why I wanted to interview you, because as I said, the revenue figure you said to Jim, I'm not going to say it, but it was quite amazing for fencing in general, and especially in New Zealand, because there's not many fences there at the moment. Like, it's a pretty green field, and to do that revenue in your first month was extremely unusual. Not unusual, well, it's unusual, but like to do that much. So do you just put it down to you've had this previous business before, you've had an independent business before, you know what it takes to actually get a business going, and when you come into the gym system, because you've got a brand and stuff like that, it just makes it a bit easier? Or how come where's this sort of come from?
Oh, that's actually a very easy answer for me. Something that stuck with me when I went to the gyms training in Australia is that Jim Penman is definitely not shy about his religion. And I'm like, man, this is key for me, because being a Christian and being proactive and practice my faith is number one for me. So everything for me evolves around that. If you serve your clients and show them the grace that Jesus have showed you in your life. For me, instance, he showed a lot of grace for me and love. I just carry that over to my clients and show them the love and grace and be kind to them and staying righteous and humble, and the rest just follows by it. If you walk in that path, you cannot fail, because God's on your side.
Yeah, so it's a good point. So Jim's very open with his religion, and we put that out there because that's a big part of how the gym system's actually done with the service sort of attitude with stuff. So is that, as you just said, then that's why you connected with Jim, I guess, in a way, is because you both had that sort of same philosophy, and that's the same values and teachings and stuff that you take from yourself, and you put that into how you deal with your customers. How does it sort of, like, it might sound a bit silly because I'm a layman of this sort of stuff, but maybe just give you a couple of examples of that. Like, how would you maybe approach a client differently to maybe someone else, or maybe you might have some friends in business, how they approach theirs. How do you approach that client differently?
Well, I think everything that you do is differently. So I haven't got a big ego to start off with, and people pick up on big egos immediately. Honor what the client is saying. I'm going a step above all of that. Business and the Bible is hand in hand. That's why it's working so well. I've spilled a little bit of mud on somebody's driveway. I will wash their whole driveway. It takes me 5 minutes. And I had that client come to me and be like, why do you wash my whole driveway? I'm like, why not? I know it's fine. It's just showing that kind of thing to the client, and they in awe and be like, wow, this is really impactful. If they bring you coffee, take that 10 minutes out of your time. You're not going to lose anything. Speak to them. I've got a Bible verse on my arm, that dude, and it's a good conversation starting point sometimes with the clients. They see that thing, and then I can start about it, and I'm actually amazed how many Christians are out there as well, and then even people that's not prone to Christianity, because not everybody are, and that is fine, that's their choice, but even them, they can see that it's something different, and they want what you want. So it's a conversation that you start with them by showing them the love of Christ through me and through the business, the way that I serve them. That you leave them with that little thing in their mind of, wow, this guy was different, and being that way every day, consistency is just key in everything. And
what's the verse on your arm?
Well, I can show it to you. It's Deuteronomy 3 verse 8. So it's He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. So that meant a lot in my life for me. He never left me. I've never been discouraged. Okay, I'm going to lie if I say I've never been discouraged, but yeah, you can get discouraged sometimes, but it's good to know that even if you are discouraged, he'll never leave you. He will always leave the path for you. Your path is laid. That's why I don't call it hustling. So I don't hustle for business. My path is laid and it's in store for me. So I just walk my path and walk it as good as what I can and try to be righteous. The Bible says, well, righteous man, the rest will just come automatically.
It's a great mental reframe, what you just said then. I think, as you said, it's not hustling to you, but you think that's as you said, your path to follow. And that's probably the inner confidence you probably get from that, going into those situations where you might have to go into a property manager for the first time, which you mentioned before, which can be quite difficult for a lot of people, but you've got that belief and that reminder on your arm as well to keep going. And I think that's a really powerful thing. I think having that in your life is a really powerful tool that you can use.
100%, yes.
Now, do you have any advice? I just want to sort of close this up real quickly because I know you're a busy man. Like, a new starter franchisee starts, what would you sort of say to them to do? Because you've gone over some really good advice, but I love how proactive you are, and you've got the rewards for it. You've got really great revenue in your first month. But what would you sort of advise new franchisees or new business owners that the most, maybe let's say, effective things in terms of marketing that they can do?
I think listen to what they're saying at training to you. They put everything on the board there for you. I can't remember the exact guy that he gave a system that he scored himself points and proactively, like seeing a client, having a job, new clients, face-to-face meetings. So that whole system is in place there. That's how I've started off. I followed that. I scored myself more points than what they suggested, but that's the minimum. So what they said you need to score, I've seen that as the minimum and surpassed that. Work hard, believe in yourself, and just put yourself out there, man. Do Facebook ads, make sure your vehicles are clean, make sure you're representable. Yeah, just gun it. If you're not going to put yourself out there, the work's not going to fall in your lap. Don't see it as a job, see it as a business.
Love it, Michael. Now, look, thank you very much for your time today, mate. We appreciate it. And I know you're a busy man, and thank you for sharing your insights as well. And as I said, I wasn't saying at the start, it's very unusual to have someone do that revenue in their first month and to do as well as you have, especially in New Zealand as well, with the way the economy is as well. It's quite amazing what you've done, and it's a really good credit to yourself and your belief and your attitude. It's just fantastic. I wish we could bottle you up and put you into every franchisee. It'd be amazing. But I know we appreciate your time. I'm looking forward to sharing this interview with everyone. So thank you again. We appreciate it.
Yeah, great stuff. Thanks for doing this as well, and good luck for the future on that side, and go.
No worries. Thanks, Michael. Have a great weekend. See you, mate. Thank you for listening to the episode of the Gyms podcast. If you want to learn more about the Gyms Group, head to gyms.net or call us on 131 546 Australia or 0800 454 654 New Zealand. And if you did like the episode as well, please make sure you leave a review or a comment or a thumbs up or a comment on the video as well. We appreciate your support. And until next episode, we hope you have a great week.